Pickpocketing, both Vyres and Elves are well known for being some of the best ways to make money with skilling. This is great news for people that aren't into bossing yet. This also presents a unique opportunity for players that are looking to utilize their thieving skill. Since you can't be pickpocketing both at the same time, and there's no vampire elves in the game, yet, you're gonna have to pick one. This is where I come in. Little known fact, thieving was my first ever 99, much to my dismay. Before either of these mobs were viable to train on, I hit that milestone. I personally wanted to go back and see what kind of XP an hour I could obtain, and what the realistic GP an hour might be. Despite the fact that I'm a college dropout that works at a grocery store, I'll be using some math and statistics to show you what you might expect to get out of this, even if you aren't at level 99. There is going to be significant pros and cons to each method, but by the end of this you're going to have the knowledge to make an informed decision on what you want to do. It's time to strap in, gamers. Let's start off by learning about Vyre. Vyres are the newest addition to the thieving lineup. The main draw to them is the blood shards that you have a chance of thieving. Now both of these methods really require the use of the rogue's outfit to fully realize their potential, so I wouldn't think about doing either of them unless you have it. My gear is basically going to be the same for both Elves and Vyre. I'm going to throw on the full rogue's outfit, a dodgy necklace, a thieving cape, and I just threw on some random prayer bonus gear that I had in the bank. Your inventory is going to vary a little bit depending on which one you're doing, but we'll get there in a minute. To get to the Vyres specifically, you need to have the quest Sins of the Father completed. There's going to be a handful of locations you can pickpocket them at, but I found that this house right here was the most efficient all around. I don't really want to go super in depth with the explanation, but as long as Violetta is located on this exact tile, and there's a guard on the other side of her, she'll be completely stuck and free to abuse. I'll leave a link to a video on it if you wanted to learn more. I chose to not bring the noble Vyre gear because once you get into the house you don't have to deal with the guards anymore, and you can just use protect from melee on the run there. So since the left click option on both Elves and Vyre is to talk, you need to right click and then select pickpocket. This makes it a little annoying to do consistently. A trick that tremendously helps with that is zooming in and positioning your camera as close to the ground as possible. When you right click you can have the pickpocket option right over the cursor. I don't think I need to explain why that makes your life less depressing. Most of what you can get from Vyre can just be dropped on the ground or eaten for a little bit of extra health. I do keep the runes and the diamonds though. Whenever you're stunned from a failed attempt, that is the best time to manage your inventory for a few seconds. This isn't the most AFK training, but it's not the worst either. After I adjusted my inventory, I only had to teleport and bank once during the hour. And before I forget, I had rapid heal on the entire time, just for a little bit of extra health. You might as well use the prayer if you have it. Don't worry because I have far less to say about how to set up Elves. The best place to pickpocket Elves is in Prif, so you really want to have the quest Song of the Elves completed. Again, there's going to be a few different areas to do it at, but I used the solo house next to the house portal. This does require you to have your house located there as well though. This method also kind of assumes you have a rejuve pool because you'll burn through your food really quickly without one. No Monkey made a fantastic how-to guide on this method, and I'll link his video down below if you wanted the full picture. This is going to be very similar to the Vyre method in the sense that you'll be trapping an NPC and zooming in to pickpocket as quickly as possible. This one does require a little bit more moving overall though. I'm sure this is the reason why most of you clicked on this video. You want to see that fat, juicy, pulsing loot tab. So let's whip this thing out and slap it across your face. If we're looking at Elves, my loot ended up right around 900k for the hour. Honestly, that's a lot more than I thought it would be considering we didn't even get the crystal seed drop. Now the obvious drawback to the loot is needing 97 herb lore to capitalize on the crystal shards. Without that, this drops down to 300k an hour. All that being said, I wanted to see how much I would make if I stuck it out to a crystal seed drop. So if we take my elf pickpocket count and divide it into the teleport crystal drop rate, I would only take, on average, around 2 hours and 10 minutes to get the big drop. If we simply double our 1 hour profit and add on the double crystal seed drop, we would end up with a rate of 3.3 mil per hour. This is substantially higher than what the wiki says for it. By the looks of it, I might have gotten lucky with some crystal shard drops. Regardless, I just wanted to show you that elves have a huge potential to be one of the best money makers in the game. If we're looking at experience, then the rate I ended up with was not at all terrible, but compared to other thieving training, it was pretty slow. I should remind you that it wasn't exactly AFK either, but of course, I'm at level 99 thieving. The wiki has a nice chart that shows your success chance when pickpocketing at different levels. If we use that to do calculations, and assume you're at level 90 thieving, you would have an 8% less chance to successfully pickpocket per attempt. And what you could do is just take a solid 8% off of my profit and experience per hour, but that doesn't exactly account for the time lost for being stunned, for having to run to your house to heal, etc. It's hard to quantify those things accurately unless you're actually that level and going through it. I would humbly theorize that you're going to see a 10 to 20% dip in efficiency compared to my rates. Man, those elves were looking pretty meaty with that waist down analysis. The Vyre are getting all hot and bothered though. Let's hop over to them and see what they're packing. At the end of my hour, I had around 470k, which is a lot less compared to the elves. Of course, the Vyre loot is face value and doesn't require any additional processing like with the crystal shards. We're going to do the same thing here though. We're going to pretend to ride it out into the blood shard drop rate. Unfortunately, the drop rate we're dividing into is a lot higher. It's going to take us, on average, a little over 7 hours to get the blood shard drop. Doing some more quick maths, we would end up with close to 2.3 mil per hour if using the numbers I ended up with. I was a little surprised by this because I thought the blood shard price would help raise that GP an hour more, but that 1 in 5,000 rate really drags it down. I didn't even factor in the cost of the Saradomin brews I used when I was pickpocketing there. The Vyre shine a little bit more than elves when it comes to experience though. I ended the hour with 220k experience. Once more, we're going to pull up that wiki success rate chart. At level 90, you would have a 10% less chance to succeed with each pickpocket compared to 99. Again, I'm going to make a very humble estimate that your numbers are actually going to drop between 12 and 20%. So in conclusion, elves are going to have the best potential profit even without getting the big drop. A large portion of this profit is locked behind 97 herb lore for the crystal shards though. Their experience rate isn't the best either, but being close to a house portal can save you a lot of money on supplies. Vyre are going to have the more consistent GP per hour, but it's going to take a lot longer to get that big drop and catch up to the potential GP an hour. You're going to end up with a decent bit more experience training on them, and their barrier to entry isn't as high as elves. Additionally, I found them to be slightly more AFK and enjoyable because you're able to stay in one place for longer periods of time. I did want to shout out one of my Discord members. Reject gave me the idea for this video, and you guys should join the Discord to thank him. Now, if you guys have any questions about RuneScape, or thieving in general, feel free to ask me. Leave a like if you found this one helpful, be sure to tune in to the next one, and most importantly, I hope all of you guys have a wonderful day.